Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:31. Okay, so Jenny, are you gonna do roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Ashcraft,
Here.
Balaco Reader,
She's on her.
Jen Margaret, yes, when she gets here.
You can, and then mark the time of her arrival.
Okay. Kaluka
Here.
and Max,
Here.
Murphy. Here. Romero Lozana. Is she?
She is not yet online. She has requested online participation, so if she tries to join, we'll need to take a vote to see if she's around.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I was sitting in the parking lot, I'm like, I don't think it's time to get to the water library. Sorry.
So 6:32.
Okay, all good? All good, Jenny?
Yes.
Okay. Next is Pledge of Allegiance, if everyone can stand.
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is public input, and whoever would like to address the board, if you can come up front, close to the microphone, and you have 3 minutes. Please state your name.
Oh, sure. My name is Michael Treese. I'm from Collinsville, Illinois.
Can you come up here closer to the
Oh,
microphone?
sure.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Treese, and I'm from Collinsville, Illinois. Good evening. For those who may not be familiar with recent history, I'd like to provide some context. Jeannie Lomax, our current board president, previously served on the board of the Collinsville Area Recreation District, commonly known as CARD. That taxing body was dissolved by voters in 2018 after years of financial mismanagement and growing public frustration. CARD left behind millions in debt for a long trail of unanswered questions, especially regarding the sale of Arlington Greens golf course. That sale remains controversial, not only with the unusually low purchase price, but also because the records are sealed, and with CARD now dissolved, there's no clear way for the public to file FOIA requests to learn more. This lack of transparency did not go unnoticed by the public. In the Times Tribune News Sound Off section from July 11, 2021, a concerned resident asked why no meeting minutes from 2020 or 21 had been posted, and asked pointed questions. Was the golf course sold? What was the profit? What was the profit used for? How much debt was paid down? Was any of CARD's money used for political purposes? And most importantly, why were the taxpayers being kept in the dark? Jeannie Lomax is among the board members named in the public call for answers. Fast forward to today. At last month's MVLD board meeting, Ms. Lomax openly objected to legal counsel's recommendation that she not serve as the district's official whistleblower. The attorneys, who I should emphasize were her pick, after she wished to remove the previous legal team, simply stated that they did not trust her to fulfill that role partially. Rather than reflect on that serious concern, Ms. Lomax demanded an explanation, once again, rejecting professional advice when it doesn't suit her preferences. This is not about one disagreement or decision, it's a pattern. Whether it's ignoring fiscal accountability, undermining legal advice, or pushing forward with a political agenda under the guise of public service, Ms. Lomax has shown us repeatedly that she prioritizes control over trust and loyalty over transparency. As a taxpayer and a resident of this community, I urge the board to take seriously the responsibility you've been entrusted with. We cannot allow the mistakes of CARD to be repeated here. We deserve leaders who listen to legal counsel, respect democratic norms, and operate with transparency and integrity, not ones who rewrite the rules for personal gain.
motion
Oh, do
to,
you wanna do it after public comment?
sure, okay, fine, that's fine.
My name is Stephanie Oseguera.
Can you come up closer to the microphone?
My name is Stephanie Oseguera and
Spell your last name, please.
Oseguera. Buenas noches. Para aquellos que no están familiarizados con la historia reciente, me gustaría ofrecer algo de contexto. Jean Lomax, nuestra presidenta de la Junta, sirvió anteriormente en la Junta del Distrito de Recreación del Área de Collinsville, comúnmente conocido como CORD. Esta organización tributaria fue resuelta por los votantes en 2018 después de años de mala gestión financiera y creciente frustración pública. CORD dejó hablar billones de deudas y una larga lista de preguntas sin respuestas, especialmente con respecto a la venta del campo de golf Arlington Green. Esta venta sigue siendo contracontrovertida no solo porque el precio de la compra siendo insulsamente bajo, sino también porque los registros estaban sellados y con CORD ahora resuelto no de manera clara para el público presente solicitudes del acto de libertad de información para obtener más información. Esta falta de transferencia no pasó de desaparecida para el público. En la sesión Sound Off de las noticias Time Tribune el 11 de julio en el 2021, un residente preocupado preguntó por qué no habían publicado esas actas de la reunión en el 2020 o 2021. Hizo preguntas puntuales. ¿Se vendió el campo de golf? ¿Cuál fue el beneficio? ¿Para qué utilizaron el beneficio? ¿Cuánta deuda pagó? ¿Se usó algo de dinero de CORD con las finas políticas? Y lo más importante, ¿por qué mantuvieron contribuyentes en la oscuridad? Jean Lomax fue uno de los miembros de la Junta nombrado en la convocatoria pública de las respuestas. Avanzando hasta hoy, en la reunión de la Junta de la Biblioteca del Distrito de la Valle de Mississippi del mes pasado, la señora Lomax se opuso abiertamente a la recomendación del abogado que no sirviera como denunciante oficial de justicia. Los abogados que debo de enfatizar fueron su elección después de que presionara para eliminar el equipo legal anterior. Simplemente declararon que no confiaban en ella para cumplir con su rol social de manera imparcial. En lugar de reflexionar sobre esta seria de preocupación, la señora Lomax exigió una explicación, rechazó una vez más el asesoramiento profesional cuando no se adaptaba a sus preferencias. No se trata de un desacuerdo o una decisión, es un patrón y se ha ignorado la responsabilidad física socavando en el asesoramiento legal o impulsando la agenda política bajo la ejercicio del servicio público. La señora Lomax nos ha demostrado agresivamente que prioriza el control sobre la confianza y la lealtad sobre la
Thank you, that's time.
Okay.
Gracias.
Stephanie.
I'll take the others. Okay. Let me use a black light.
I'm Cindy Klein-Webb, and I am a Collinsville resident. Dear Library Board members and Mississippi Valley Library District. I came across these American Library Association bookmarks while cleaning my office. I had given these out to my former clients as I thought the blue ones because hands-on learning builds stronger brains. I did pass these out to my former clients as I thought the blue ones because hands-on learning builds stronger brains were especially pertinent for the families of the infants and toddlers with delays and/or disabilities that I served in early intervention. The inclusive rainbow hue markers, because books show us every color of the rainbow, were a very big hit, and I realized I don't have any of those. I figured I'd pass some of these out. I didn't mean to hoard these at all. I just came across them. But they were a big hit with families in Old St. Clair, especially at Sky Air Force Base, since we have such a diverse population there, and Madison County. I know these were considered to be highly concerning via the library board president, and she removes these from public access. I very much was glad when they were returned. I am passing these out to board members and present library patrons to redistribute in support of the American Library Association and the Mississippi Valley Library District. I apologize for still having some of these. I hope that our newest library board members take to heart the American Library Associations and other training they receive as a part of their responsibility in serving everyone in our community, because access equals opportunity. And that actually says that on the red line. I continue to hope for the very best from some of our library board, as I have for the past 2 years. Fortunately, we have some very dedicated library board members who have continued to support the library staff and the library patrons of Fairmont City and Collinsville. It is very concerning that our nation's administration promoted severe cuts to museums and libraries along with the AmeriCorps program. And it is even more reason for our trustees to step
15
up.
seconds.
The ACLU of Illinois, the American Library Association, and other
5 seconds.
nearby libraries are very aware of the
That's
ethnocentric
time.
control.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, 3 minutes now.
I'd like to thank you all, and my name is Killian, I live in Fairmont City. I'd like to thank you all. I used to be on the library board and also thank Liz Task.
You say your last name also, so she has it.
W-E-I-R. The Mississippi Valley Library, through multiple iterations of leadership, have already done a great and wonderful thing for our community. The library was a driving impetus that allowed us to get the internet in town and a million other things. Used to be our kids dreamed of being roofers, now they go to college and get degrees all through the library. I know that's very much like the heart of our community. I know a lot of people want to beat you up and everything. We, the people of Fairmont City, thank you for everything that you do and hope to look forward to working with you for many more years to come.
Thank you. Anybody online that wants to?
I did want to say,
So doing it again, take a vote.
Yes, so trustee Ana Romero Lozana has requested to attend virtually due to health and disability matters, which is allowable under our bylaws, but it does also require a vote of those present to allow participation in the meeting through electronic means. So if you're okay with that, there would need to be a motion and a second, followed by a vote.
I will make a motion for virtual, attend virtually.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, so.
thank you. Okay, so roll call?
Yes.
Okay, Ashcraft,
Yes.
Balaco Reader. Yes. Kaluka,
Yes.
Lomax,
Yes.
Murphy. Yes. Romero Lozano. Yes. And Ward, yes.
Motion passes. Okay, so next we are to the Friends of the Library update.
Okay, a small update today. You may recall that previously the Friends have donated $2,500 to the library for the purpose of doing a story walk in partnership with the city of Collinsville. Unfortunately, those negotiations with the city have fallen through due to some impasse in wording in the proposed intergovernmental agreement. So the Friends have said if it's not off the ground by the end of this month, redirect those funds to preparing and upgrading the water fountain in the community room at Collinsville. And so that's, I'm just letting you know that as of today, that information was shared with me from the city, so I've notified the Friends and they're moving forward with transferring their donation over to help with something else.
Good. Tell us thank you. Yes. So next is trustee comments.
I have something I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I want to thank Teresa for the big job she did for the summer reading program came up. She made it a whole lot of fun, and I know others helped you, but I don't have a list of who all helped you, but I came, a friend, and I don't know how it came about, but I also want to thank the Metro East Literacy Project, who networked with all the libraries in Madison and St. Clair counties, and at our Collinsville Library and here in Fairmont City, she gives away bags of 25 books in each bag, and they're different age ranges. So you get like 3 picture books and 3, you get the picture. And she happens to be a friend of mine. And she called and said, "You want to help me?" And I said, "Sure." And then it was a nice way everything got to work together. And I also, so I got to hang out at our library, and I even maybe will borrow some of the ideas for my preschool. And I got to hang out here and meet the families and meet the staff and give out free books. Felt good. Anyway, also I want to thank Terry for manning the table at the Horseradish Festival. And he was giving away a free book, and if you mentioned him, seeing him on Facebook, you got a free jigsaw puzzle. And so I got a free jigsaw puzzle. and it had a piece missing. It's a donation. So I'm going to donate it back, but I didn't bring it tonight because I didn't want you to carry it.
Thank you.
And, but anyway, and I met the person who does the chess club. They were playing chess, and I think Ben was his partner at the time. And anyway, it was just, I think it's neat when, the weather's nice and we can be outside and you walk around and get a chance to talk to people. And also this is a silly one, some of the staff at Collinsville gave me their favorite places to eat in Collinsville and Fairmont City, as I was hanging out with them. And so I said, "Where do you like to eat?" I'm here, I said, there's so many good restaurants. So I got to try a few new places that I had, or a few new dishes too. So anyway, that was kind of nice. I can tell you the recommendations if you like.
Anybody else?
I mainly did you get the puzzle done and then find out that the piece was missing?
Yes.
Or did you count it first?
Oh, I don't count.
Okay.
No, it was 1,000 pieces.
Oh, 99.
It was a cool summer camping canoeing puzzle. And one was missing, but, hey, it was free.
I will have a brief comment. Killian always says that Fairmont City has the best food, and I tend to agree with him. So I do have a small comment. It's June. Just wanted to remind everyone that the library is for everyone. That's my comment.
Anybody else? I do have a couple comments. In addressing Don Kuntz's suggestion at the last meeting of having a sound system, we've discussed this prior to your suggestion, but since you suggested it, Kyla is going to look into getting something set up so that it has a microphone and a speaker to where everybody that's sitting in the room can hear what all the comments departments are, so we are addressing that. And addressing some of the comments that were made about me tonight being on the cardboard. Yes, I was on the cardboard. I got on the cardboard after the taxpayers figured out that the previous management, the previous board, had got us $30 million in debt. And when I was on the board, we did some really great things. We reduced that kind of spending. Can't do anything about the debt, but we can reduce the spending. We got rid of the company credit cards. We got rid of the company cars that were being abused to the tune of the taxpayers footing the bill. There was a lot of things we got the place fiscally sound. And then we turned over $12 million worth of assets to the city of Collinsville, because CARD never had a funding stream to do the kind of things that they did. They didn't have a capital improvements funding stream. When they were created to maintain the parks. Maintain, not build water parks, not do all of these things that got us $30 million in debt. And that's what happens when the taxpayers don't pay attention until we get ourselves in such a situation that, we have to, we really pay attention then. And as it pertains to the golf course, when the golf course was bought, it was never on the market for more than $2.5 million. It was purchased for $5 million in bankruptcy. The bond was taken out for, I do believe it was $8.6 million, with the terms being the first 10 years were interest-only payments. That is just, that's the taxpayers not knowing what's going on, and that is just a fiscal mismanagement. So I'm proud of the work that I did on CARD. So, I know that you're always gonna go after me no matter what I do. I could be, laying golden eggs and I'd still be doing something wrong. That's okay, it is what it is. But I do wanna set the record straight that that is what we did when we got on CARD. So right now, CARD, on my tax bill, I pay more to CARD being defunct and no longer operable, just for the debt payment than I do to the Mississippi Valley Library District.
It's true, I think I do too.
Yeah, so, you can demonize me all you want, I expect it all the time, because that's all I've ever got over the last 2 years. But I wanna set the story straight with what happened with CARD. So, next up is consent items. So can I get a motion to accept the consent items in their entirety?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So, first thing is gonna be the approval of the minutes, May 19th, outgoing board meeting, the open session. The only thing I saw on here is Uda's name is spelled wrong. Anybody have any comments on the outgoing board meeting? No? And the next one is the closed session of the outgoing board.
So for this one, you'll need to determine not only whether you approve it as written, but also if you're going to open it or keep it closed.
Any comments or questions about that? And is everyone fine with approving it and opening it?
If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it.
This is I like to keep it close.
We'd like to keep it closed? Okay. So how do we go about that with,
We should probably pull that one out from the consent item and then do a separate vote on it to determine whether or not to keep
okay,
that.
so we'll do that. We'll leave that for
If
last.
you wanna have discussion on how to approach that, then I would pull it out.
Okay, we can do that for, at last. We'll go ahead and do the rest of the consent items. Okay, so the next one's gonna be the May 19th, regular board meeting. Anybody have any discussion on that one?
The only thing I had seen whenever we were sent the minutes is on page 7, on underneath C, appointment of trustees or committees, the building and grounds committee, building hasn't on, so, or maybe it's an extra item.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I saw.
Anything other than that? No? Okay. So then communications, we didn't have any. Administrative reports, we have Kyla's report. Do you have anything to add to it?
Not at this time, happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions on the report? No? And then we have Matt's report also. Anything to add to yours, Matt?
I'll just give a shout out to Teresa as well. She's been doing a wonderful job for summer reading program.
And I like your Nerf gun obstacle course. Was you? Was that fun?
Oh, they had a blast with it. In fact, I had to bring it back for the open day or the kickoff day.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. Yeah, I like all yours. The Minecraft builds, boy, that's a popular one. Anybody on Matt's? No, okay. So next is finances, so we have May 2025 expenses by vendor, profit and loss. By vendor, yeah. No. So the Millville News Democrat is, we just get the Sunday for that price?
We will be now, so
I didn't realize papers were that expensive.
the Belleville News Democrat was going to cost us more than double that amount to continue our subscription as it was. So that one we had to reduce down to Sunday delivery only. And then we're in the process of doing the same with the St. Louis Post Dispatch. Last year, we paid about $1,500 for that one,
For
And-
all week.
for every day.
Yeah.
And then, they wanted to increase that this year to $3,600, so more than double. So we had to adjust that one as well. That one's gonna be going down to, I think it's, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it'll be something we have to pay on a month-by-month basis, $52 a month, which is still significantly better than
Yeah, wow.
36.
More than
$600 a lot.
$10 a Sunday.
A lot.
We could go buy it and bring it into the library.
Yeah.
I'll go to Walmart, I'll go to Schnucks and bring it in for, I'm
So
gonna get
papers used to
asked.
be like 50 cents?
Once upon a time.
Sunday paper was $1.
Yeah, Sunday was always more.
Can I ask a question? Do you have any idea how many people even look at it? Are there people that look at the paper?
We have people who come in every day looking for the paper.
Really? It does seem like it'd be easier to have someone buy it at Schnucks and bring it over.
How much does it cost at the store?
I don't even know that, but
It's also less expensive for new subscribers. So really,
but still it's more than,
it's just continually going up.
I know I cut it off.
I was gonna say, I think last time I saw a Sunday paper was probably like $7 or $8 just for that one.
Just
What?
At Schnucks? Like at Schnucks?
I would the list price on it. I mean, I haven't bought a paper in years, but yeah.
I'll investigate. And I will. Fundraising.
Yeah.
Finance committee.
Yeah, keep the paper alive.
Step up. That is, that blows my mind. Cause I was thinking the online subscription, do you have any idea how much an online subscription?
All of them automatically include the online subscription, but it would be tied to a staff email account for, as part of our subscriber information, and there's not a clean way for us to make that available. However, there are local newspapers available through our Newsbank database service. So Newsbank collects papers from around the country, including, I believe, the Houston Pratt. So we do already have a way of
Online.
providing access to newspapers online, multiple newspapers online.
Does anybody else have any questions on expense by vendor? Then is profit and loss.
I will say, as a reminder for those who've been on the board for a minute and as information for our newer trustees, that it is very common at this time of year where the profit and loss shows a net loss because our primary source of income, which is property taxes, those payments have ceased for the current budget year, and within the next couple of weeks, we'll start receiving things for the next fiscal year. So that's normal. Don't freak out.
Can I ask again what, under total government, intergovernment revenue,
Which of the pages are you on?
I'm on the first page of profit and loss. Under
Intergovernment revenue, okay.
this donation desk and undesk.
Designated and undesignated. So whether a donation is just here, take a donation versus here's a donation for a particular purpose, they all hit that one on the income side. And then on the expense side, what is undesignated will be put to whatever line item means we need. And then there is a designated line item in the expense side for the designated one, so we can track the use of those.
And so who does this donation come from?
Anyone, everyone?
It's
It can be everything from someone paying for copies and they say keep the change.
we got
To-
quite a,
So that was that $20,000 that we got for the floor in the children's library.
Yeah.
That was in that one.
all right.
Any other questions on that one? So now we're to the balance sheet. the gift fund balance. Or transactions. Questions on the gift fund? Then we are to fiscal year 2025, the profit and loss on the budget versus the actual.
Is this page part of the, budget versus actuals? Doesn't look like it.
Which one?
At the top, does it have two different years listed in the columns? That's the prior year comparison. So that's the next report.
Okay, we haven't gotten to that one yet?
No.
I don't know.
Mine under says one of three.
It's faint and it's smaller,
Yeah,
so
to
I have to
three
figure
to
out a way to
three.
change that.
So you got these two pages.
Okay. Next.
And I like the donation one is at 159%. It's a good one. I always like to see that on the income side rather than the expense side. For the training and tuition, that one was so high, and what did we do extra this year than normal?
Some of that, excuse me, was supposed to be attributed to the per capita grant line item, but because of the other eligible expenses that have been hitting that one, they had to drop that one out so that other things could end up remaining instead.
Do we do a little bit more training or continuing education this year than normal years, which is
No, it's just the,
the fund that came out of?
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, then we are to profit and loss previous year comparison.
I had a question on, virtual items. They're like,
Yeah, that one's high.
well, and I was wondering also what that included, because,
that includes the addition of the Freakle streaming music service.
okay, so that brought it up. And then down underneath that column or that section, on other grants, it has one for 900. I was just wondering what grant that was.
Those were actually a couple of smaller ones. I think it was a 500 and a 400 we received. One of them was the IHLS marketing micro grant. And one of them was, it'll come to me in a moment. Let me check back in my report and see if it's still mentioned in there.
It's not a big deal, it's not there.
So had you expected some other ones to come in that didn't
We always apply for more, not all of them are funded, so, we build it into the budget on both the income and expense side, and if we get it, great, and if we don't,
So it kind of evens out.
oh yeah,
Since it's built in both ways.
How much is the streaming service? Under virtual.
The Friegel one was around 5,500
A year,
a year.
that was a big chunk of it.
Yeah, we had brought that up, talked about that a little in the finance committee meeting. That I mean, I know it's the first year of use, but, I mean, we only had 76 active users that were downloading and streaming. So for $5,500, I am just, you know,
When
I'm
you
not-
say that
I'm not
number,
s-
is that for 1 month or is that since
that's
August?
for the whole, that's through
August.
April.
August through
Yeah, August through April. On this sheet.
March, because this is provided quarterly, so the last quarter is.
Oh, yeah, okay, it is March, it's not April, I'm not reading my lines here. Right, so, do you have, you don't have one that's got it through,
Not,
I guess
not with me, but we'll have one.
yeah,
next month.
when we get through the end of June, let's see what it did for the fiscal year.
Yeah, so that did come up during the finance committee meeting. I am again recommending that we continue it for another year, because these kind of services do take time to gain traction. But we'll reevaluate it towards the end of next fiscal year and see where we go from there.
Yeah, because I mean, if it doesn't pick up, I just think it's quite expensive for not very many users. And I think that the majority of probably the taxpayers are not accessing this, the greater majority. And so, but they're subsidizing it, so. I'm not-
It's a new service and lots of people probably don't know about it. So.
Right, but I mean, when we got 76 people through March and it's cost $5,500, I mean.
And we're looking at a $1.5 million budget, it's less than 1% of the budget.
Yeah, you know, me and you have a little bit of an idea.
We're gonna try for another year.
The role of government, but that's okay, you know.
Okay. Less than 1%. And it's not, we haven't even had it for a year, Gene.
Right.
If we wanna
but-
look at all of the new programs,
You know,
and
in
what
my
numbers they have,
eyes,
that's totally
before
fine.
you give it to somebody, you've had to take from somebody else, and I always keep that in mind. The taxpayers are paying for, the taxpayers as a whole are paying for a service that at this point only 76 people have used.
And I think we should get the word out that
Yeah.
it's available.
Then you should get the word out.
Let's do it.
Yeah, no, well, it's
You can
kind of
have
like
your church
our
do it,
responsibility as
probably
board
Christian
members
music
to
too.
let everyone know. I will say, anyone who hasn't used Friegel, Sly Stone passed away a week or two ago. They have a wonderful mix of Sly Stone and Friegel. Recommend it.
Okay, so next up is committee reports.
Yeah, it's,
So the only committee report that we have would be on the finance committee.
And they are bringing forth a recommendation on the FY 2026 budget, which will be discussed and most likely voted on later on in the week.
Okay, so, can we get a roll call vote to, how do we wanna do this, cause we said the
we're gonna pull the one out, yeah.
the entirety, so do we need to update that vote?
We do need to.
Okay. So, do we need to re-vote? Or just amend?
I would be okay with that.
Okay. Can we amend the approval of the minutes leaving out
The consent item.
the consent, of all the consent items? Oh, here, I'm sorry, I'm
So
sorry.
Kathy, Marty had moved and Kelly had seconded to approve the consent item. So if you are okay with amending your motion and second to pull out the closed session minutes for a separate vote, then we can move forward with a vote on the remainder of the consent items.
There we go.
That's fun to write down. amended consent item.
Thank goodness it's only amended.
Pull out the what?
The closed session.
Closed session
Yeah.
minutes. Cause audit doesn't work. Yeah.
And we'll vote separately.
Okay. So the consent items would actually be all except for the closed session. Okay, so should I go ahead and do a roll call?
Yes.
This is for the consent items except for the closed session. Balaco Reader
Yes.
and Kolupka,
Yes.
Lomax,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Romero Lozano.
Yeah.
Me, yes, and Ashcraft.
Yes.
Motion passes. So now can I get a motion to accept the closed session, meeting minutes, how should we word this? To accept them, but keep them closed?
Right, you can make that motion.
Yeah, we can make that motion. So, accept the closed session meeting minutes, but keep them closed.
So I'll make a motion to accept the closed session meeting minutes and keep them closed.
I'll second.
All right. Kolupka,
Yes.
Lomax,
No, I'm okay with them.
okay. Murphy,
Yes.
Romero Lozano.
Yes. She said yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay, she said no at first, so. All right, me, I'll say yes, keep them closed. Ashcraft
Yes.
and Balaco Reader.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so motion passes. Okay. So next is under unfinished business, repairs to the Collinsville Library elevator in Fairmont City Library field.
Okay, so the elevator work is underway. Last week, a week and a half ago is when work began. Last week is when they finished removing the piston that was in there and clearing out the hole. They have started putting in the new piston underneath the elevator. Had to go out to get some couplings, because somehow after all the measurements, a couple of pieces were still about 6 inches short.
That
But
happens sometimes.
work is still progressing, so we're moving in the right direction. We're still on track with the timeline that was given.
Good deal. And everything's going smooth.
Yes. Aside from that one little hiccup, yes. As for the Fairmont City Field, no update at this time. We still are on the waiting list with AJD as agreed upon with JD Distributing.
Say what?
Strongly worded.
But we are on their list, as they're finishing other jobs, then we get closer to the top of that list. So once that work is finished and we pay it, then we'll ask for reimbursement from the trucking company.
Okay?
This wasn't on here, but there was an update with the cameras, is that correct?
We had our, gentleman out earlier today fixing some other computer issues.
Our general IT.
Right, sorry, yeah, IT, it's slipping my mind, all of them, so. Brad was out earlier today fixing something else. He thinks the issue might be that the camera system that's operating from the front desk is the newest version of the software. It works at my desk, knock on wood, it's never froze. The cameras have never froze from my computer, which is running an older version of the software. So he's trying to get a hold of the camera company to see if he can uninstall the newest version and reinstall the older version on the front desk computers. So
That sounds about
he's
right.
hoping to be able to do that sometime this week. So hopefully that is the fix. So
I got my fingers crossed.
yeah, thank you, yes.
Okay, so next is discussion and possible action on revision to the whistleblower policy and anti-harassment and non-discrimination policy.
So since last month, there has been a bit of a revision in the whistleblowing policy portion. Instead of having it be a 2-tiered system, it would be a 3-tiered system. Again, with the, keeping with the lawyer's recommendations, working up and out the organizational chart. So the auditor would be the executive director. If unable or unavailable to serve, the alternate auditor would be a member of the board appointed annually by the board president. And if for some reason neither are available or in conflict with whatever claim is there, then a tertiary auditor would be an attorney at law from Gwynn Huntor. So again, continuing that progression while still including different steps of management. Other than that, the drafts that are presented are the same as what you saw previously.
So this one replaces this.
If at the top it says presented May 19 and June 16, then yes.
They both say that. I got duplicate
Oh,
copies.
because
There's one
there was
that's got
one-
yellow.
There's one with a highlight.
Yeah,
I've got them
yes.
both in front of me.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
one with the highlighting on it is the one that has that revision for the 3-tier reporting.
I got them both. So here's the one we looked at last time. Here's the updated draft. It is expertly spliced right in there. They're not changing. There.
Hey, John, I have a question.
Sure.
I thought we were gonna keep the whistleblower separate from the other one.
It is still listed separately.
Right, it is.
Yeah, they're numbered the way the drafts are presented are back to back, but if you see the numbering that goes with them, you'll see that they actually go in different parts of the policy manual. So one of them is under section 2.7 and one is under 6.9.
Yeah, okay. I didn't pay attention to that, thank you.
Discussion? Any questions?
My main question is, if we vote on these, would it be more beneficial to have them as 2 separate votes? Or to have them as 1 vote?
If you're all in agreement, or if the majority is in agreement on adopting them, it would be easier to do it as 1 vote. Because then I know that these go in different parts of the policy because of the way they're numbered. But if you want to have separate discussion on each one, then it can be 2 votes.
I have no issue with the as proposed draft of the anti-harassment and non-discrimination policy.
Okay, so let's move on to the whistleblower. Discussion? Or does anybody have anything else on that non-discrimination, anti-harassment? Any comments on that? Anybody else? Okay. So how about the whistleblower? Anybody have any comments or questions?
My first question is the proposed update with the highlight. Was that a recommendation from Ansel Glink that they revised this and was like, we could paste it in this way? Or was it just added in and we'll consult with them after the policy?
I think for them, the conversation the whole time was trying to make sure that operations didn't flow down or sideways or something like that. I think for them, the thing was always to go up the organizational chart rather than have it hop up and down. So no, it has not gone through Ansel Glink with this revision.
Okay.
But it seems in keeping with earlier parts of our
Previous
conversation.
policy.
The first, the one without the yellow, left the board completely out of the whistleblower policy. And the second one, the board goes up from the director in hierarchy.
And then provides another step after that if needed.
So it could eliminate the need for a lawyer in the bill.
And the auditor or their designee has the authority to appoint other members of the management team, board members, and or outside counsel consultants to investigate or to assist.
That's in our current version of the policy as well, that's unchanged.
Right.
Right.
I think that's important.
Well, we're talking about important things with this policy. I think that we'd be remiss not to mention why we're discussing the policy right now. In that March 19th of 2024, there was a whistleblower complaint on the current whistleblower. And that's an issue.
Shall I say a bogus complaint?
You can say that. It is unfortunate that this complaint came in March 19th and not September 16th, when the library board president said that there is a stronghold to break the library. I think that everyone on this board and everyone in this room, and Jeannie likes to mention the taxpayers, we have a duty to the taxpayers that if that was politically motivated, which I do not understand how it would not be politically motivated, to not have the executive director need to have a finding on someone who is her boss. It seems like a terrible idea. And just with that, I feel, as you said, iffy about it. I also think that we have a duty to the taxpayers, as Jeannie likes to say, to consult expert advice. And as Jeannie has said in the last meeting, she is not a lawyer. So I would like to lean on the experts in law, which are the lawyers that she picked out, wants to hire. And again, may I say, we have a duty to the taxpayers to consult experts and use their advice.
So I'd like to jump in here and say that, yes, it is true, there was once when the whistleblower policy was triggered and I was asked to step in as the alternate under the current policy. The reason it came up most recently though was because the question was asked, well, what if both of the auditors are in collusion? Then where do we go? So that's what raised the question when I started asking other entities, City of Collinsville, they all had similar structures to what we had, and I asked them, well, what happens if either your auditors or your alternate are in a similar situation? And they said, well, we haven't considered that, we probably should. So that's kind of the line that this came out of, was we don't want members of the public to feel there is no safe option. Do I anticipate that having to be triggered? No, but it's better to have that contingency in place before it's needed than be trying to scramble to find a solution as it's happening. So that's where this particular conversation started, was how do we address that concern?
I like the idea, not specifically of a lawyer looking at it, but of a third party looking at it.
Well,
If it comes up.
It goes through the chain of command there. First line would be the executive director, second line would be a board member, third line would be a lawyer.
I'm not sure why it would go to a board member, because in our trustee booklet, it mentions that we are not involved in day-to-day operations as board members. I understand that some people feel differently about that, but that is not what our trustee packet says.
So a whistleblower complaint would not be a day-to-day operation, it would be something that they are making a complaint about. And oftentimes, the supervisor would probably be the most likely person that the complaint would be filed against, because they're the person that's there every day. Not saying Kyla, I'm saying any supervisor. Any supervisory position, that would probably, they're the overseer of the money, they're the overseer of the whole library, of the whole, whatever. They would probably be, the number one target, okay? So, it gives you a line of, then the board is involved, okay?
According to this
So
draft,
if
yes.
that were the case, then the board would be involved. And then the board can also appoint, bring the rest of the board, bring the whole board in on the investigation. Or they can go to a legal avenue. So somebody's gonna file a complaint about the board, it goes to Kyla. Somebody's gonna file a complaint about Kyla, it's gonna go to the board. And then we've got the next option of going, and if it has to do with a board member and the executive director, it goes to the legal counsel. I think it all sounds very logical. I like having a third line. And it doesn't, take the board out of the whole operation. Any other discussion? Any other questions? Kelly, how do you feel?
I feel like, I like the way the policy was rewritten. That it was a good covering all the avenues.
Any other discussion? No? Can we get a motion to accept the non-discrimination and anti-harassment policy and the whistleblower policy?
A motion.
Who motioned it?
I
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Is that
Sorry.
anything important?
No.
Okay,
I didn't wanna leave something out.
okay.
All right, so Lomax,
Yeah.
Murphy,
Yes.
Romero Lozano,
Yes.
York, yes. Ashcraft,
No,
Balaco Reader,
Yes.
and Kaluka.
Yes. So motion passes. Let's see, next we are to discussion and possible action on lease agreement renewal with the Collinsville Historical Museum.
So as we had discussed, I went back to the museum, told them that this board is willing to consider renewing the lease with the $1 per year fee rather than the $100 a month. Asked if they were amenable to some wording about potential cost sharing. And so this is what we came up with. Had a little bit of feedback from you all previously. Hopefully we're sitting in a good place with this. I'm comfortable with this as being presented. The way it would go is that since we are meeting before the museum's board will be, if we adopt it, then they will adopt it at their meeting on June 30th. And it would go into effect as of June 30th then.
I talked about it, I feel confident about it. I did want to point out, it is for 20 years instead of 5. The
Right.
last agreement was for 5, must be for 20.
No, it was for 20.
For 20, oh, okay.
You're thinking of BUC thing,
Okay.
which is the 5-year one.
So many different things. Okay, perfect. Thank you for the clarification.
Do you think that the language, so it says on a case-by-case basis, the library, number 6 there, if you haven't got it. Library may request financial assistance from the museum to address any necessary remediation of issues related to drainage, etc. So it doesn't really spell out a whole lot there.
Well-
Is it mainly going to be issues related to drainage or?
That has what it has been all along so far.
So
So
nothing
need
else that we
anything-
needed to.
If it's anything related to their shingles, that's on them, that's their building. If it's anything inside the building, that's on them. Broken window, that's on them. We are just responsible for what's around it that's negatively impacting
Okay,
the
so
building,
it's
which is
just-
us part of the drainage.
Mainly gonna be the drainage, okay.
Well, and I think that there is a lot of good faith here,
Yeah.
that if something totally out of the blue comes up that's never come up before, I think there's a lot of good faith, intention, the et cetera.
From what I'm aware, we have a pretty good relationship with them.
We put a dollar.
Okay, so any other questions or comments? Okay, so can we get a motion to accept the lease agreement renewal with the Collinsville Historical Museum? I'll make a motion to accept the lease agreement.
I will second.
Second.
Okay. Murphy,
Yes.
Romero Lozano,
Yeah.
York, yes. Ashcraft,
Yes.
Balaco Reader,
Yes.
Kalika,
Yes.
and Lomax.
Yes. Okay, so motion passes.
So just very quickly, after the meeting, I'll have you sign 2 printed copies of it,
Okay.
and then send those over to the museum.
Okay. New business, discussion and possible action on meeting dates, times, and locations for fiscal year 2026. Okay, so I did notice on here, the July meeting you have in Fairmont City should be on a different rotation.
Okay, well, we can flip-flop those.
Okay,
Well, it's still splitting the baby either way, right? Because if we move that one, then all of the ones underneath will have to go, right?
yeah, we're just,
So it's either we come
Next
here
month.
next month or we go to college.
next month, usually we
Yeah,
always.
it just gets a little weird because we have 11 regular meetings a year, so it's not consistently the same. So that'll be 2 years in a row where we've had more meetings at Fairmont. And over time, you don't want that to keep going.
Only other thing I saw on,
So are we changing that then? Are we changing July to Collinsville and
yeah,
August to Fairmont and
I'd say we keep it.
are we
I just be aware of it next year.
I'll be wherever.
I say we change it, it keeps it as we've always had it. And then the only other one I know, I'm out of town on October 20th. If the board would be willing to do it on the 21st and have it on the third Tuesday instead of the Monday.
I just wanna go back to the other thing, because then we end up coming, our last meeting in 2025 is in Collinsville, and our first meeting in 2026 is in Collinsville. So it's 11, it doesn't come out even.
I don't know, I just know that we are here in Fairmont and the next meeting should be in Collinsville.
We did several Collinsville in a row this
We
last
also
year.
hold most of our other meetings in Collinsville too, right?
All of our committee meetings.
Yeah, the committee
Yeah.
meetings are in Collinsville.
Well, Collinsville is the hub.
Well, I mean, we serve the library district, not just Collinsville.
Right, the Collinsville is the hub. I think most even businesses that they have different, buildings and different employees in different businesses, they come back to the hub for the majority of the meetings.
Kathy, what was your specific question? You said,
Well, I'm just saying, we end up doing the same location twice, somewhere in the calendar.
If we change it, then it will be
We
done
change
in
it, we
Collinsville,
end up
then we start at Collinsville.
November and
well, not
January,
necessarily.
both in
We'll
Collinsville.
just have this discussion again next year.
No,
Right?
Like the song in the
It's either, yeah, it's either
January would be a fair amount.
we keep it here or we
Yeah,
talk
they
about it
just,
next
they
year,
just
yeah.
rotate.
Okay, so we have kind of two options to consider here. One is that we just flip flop every single location, so it goes Collinsville, Fairmont, Collinsville, Fairmont, Collinsville, Fairmont. Or we could change the first one to Collinsville, do two Collinsville back to back, and then go the rest of the way through. And then make sure it gets swapped
I
properly.
don't care, I really don't care personally.
One person's making a very big deal, so I guess we
No,
can vote on it.
no, that's perfect.
I mean, I'd like to not add extra work for Kyla to have to read, to change all of this. It seems just fine to me, especially as we've already mentioned, our committee meetings are in Collinsville. It's really turns out to be like one or two meetings tops, so.
We have two Collinsville and we'll over two Fairmont.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about doing?
Well, there's the option to either reverse all of these, so it goes Collinsville, Fairmont, and ends with a starts and ends with the Collinsville. Or we can just change the first one to Collinsville and do two Collinsville back to back and then continue with the rest of it out as it is.
Or the third
Or
option
the
is
direct-
just leave
is
it
to
the
keep
same.
it the same way, yeah.
Right.
Which should be actually the first option. First option, keep it. Second, what ends up being Kyla switching them all.
I don't know, I just, we've always done a one at one, the next one at the other one, so I just,
I understand that, but we're gonna be having three library meetings, two of which are committee meetings at Collinsville within.
that's what
week.
we've always done.
I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is that it's, at the end, it's a wash. And we serve the library district, not just Collinsville.
I'm talking about doing what we've always done, and it's on one meeting at one, the next meeting at the next.
Outside of the one meeting, that's what this is proposing.
So I'm not wanting to muddy the waters more than this, but just to throw it out as an option. If you want, you can choose to vote on just next month's meeting, and I can bring this back with two proposals for the rest of the.
We need to just go ahead and get it done with. I mean, there would be no need to, just all break it out. Let's just get it done with. I already know that I'm out of town on October 20th. Are you opposed to having the meeting on the Tuesday?
Yes,
Okay,
because we've never done that, we've always just done it.
that's
This
fine.
way,
I'm just telling you right now, I have plans for that.
Or alternatively, what we could do is have that meeting at Fairmont and then change all of the other ones. So
Well,
they're
we know
flip-flopped.
far enough out in advance that if that date does not get changed from what's presented, Kelly can step in as vice president. I'll walk you through it. It's not gonna be a terrible thing to run the, you know, it'll be okay there.
After 2 years.
Okay, so, who is fine with switching these to the way that they normally would be, that Collinsville, Fairmont, Fairmont? Jenny, Kelly? Yeah. Is there a motion or? I'm just asking their opinions.
Okay.
Well, again, I would probably say that it's already printed like this. So the first option would be who wants to keep it the same. I'm not telling you what to do, as Madam President, but that seems like that would be the obvious first selection.
I'm going to recommend that someone make a motion, one way or the other, so that discussion can take place. There can be a vote, and then we have a sense of where we go with this. And if another vote comes up after that, so it goes. But, usually you're supposed to have a motion on the table.
Okay, so,
I would make a motion to adopt the regular meeting dates as
I'm the
presented.
president of the board, let me
Oh,
make
okay.
the motion. Can I get a motion to accept the regular, the meeting dates, with the change of it going in normal rotation, starting with the July 21st meeting being in Collinsville? And then rotating each location after that. So can I get a motion with, so instead of having 2 meetings in a row in Fairmont City, the July 21st meeting would be in Collinsville, August would be in Fairmont, and then it would go in that rotation, as it normally always has gone.
So it would be to adopt the ordinance with the meeting locations flipped throughout.
Oh, I'll make a motion to adopt the ordinance with the locations flipped.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it. All right, so.
Before we vote, is there still discussion on the table?
There is.
Okay, I just need clarification. You said normal? When referring to it become, starting with Collinsville, can you tell me what that means, like normal?
We rotate, so one is in Fairmont, the next one's in Collinsville, the next one's in Fairmont, the next one's in Collinsville. These are regular board meetings.
That's how it exists on the sheet. On this sheet, it exists that it is Fairmont, and then Collinsville, and then Fairmont, and then Collinsville.
But this
Which is exactly what you've explained by normal, is that they swap each meeting, is that correct?
Yeah, but we're going from this fiscal year, the last fiscal year meeting is in Fairmont City, so the next year's fiscal year, the first meeting would be in Collinsville. We're following the rotation.
But correct me if I'm wrong, even if we flip it, we're gonna end up with 2 in Collinsville in a row.
Where are you?
You are correct.
How are you figuring that?
Well,
Because
We will have to do the same thing next year.
Because we only have 11 meetings. And
right, so then the next year's would be July would be in
If
Collinsville.
you start here, Gene, that's, you got Collinsville, Fairmont, Collinsville, Fairmont, Collinsville, Fairmont, Collinsville, Fairmont, Collinsville, Fairmont, and then you come back up here and it's, am I wrong?
That will be next year's, then she will rewrite next year's.
Changed again.
Kathy, you are correct, and
Yes,
you will do
yes,
this
correct.
same thing next year, I guess, to where we end in Collinsville and then decide to change it again.
Okay, so here's what it comes down to. For the past several years, we have been rotating locations.
Yeah.
Since there are not an even number of regular meetings in a year, one year this will be Collinsville, Fairmont, and it'll end with Collinsville. And then the next ones would start with Fairmont, Collinsville, and with Fairmont, then the next one after that is Collinsville, Fairmont,
So you know,
Okay, so it should have, I swear I did change it, I don't know what happened to this, but it should have gone Collinsville, Fairmont, Fairmont. At the end of the day, I'll show up wherever, we're still doing a rotation. It really is just,
So there was a little mistake.
yeah, I'm still not sure how, because I remember changing it.
But either way, there's no issue as long as we're aware of it, come next fiscal year, whenever we're deciding these dates. And, of course, want to continue to be equitable for both libraries since we serve the district and not just Collinsville. So it's either we do it now, or we do it later, or we do it both times. And it's looking like we're gonna have to do it both times.
She's
Well,
saying
she
that
said
she
that she
will.
made a mistake this time, and next year she won't make that same mistake.
She thought she changed it. So it was an oversight.
At the end of the day, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think Kyla made a mistake. It's
So-
fine.
No, I didn't, something happened here, I know I went in and changed it, it didn't save that way apparently. It should be going Collinsville, Fairmont, if it had been reflected correctly.
Any other discussion?
I just wanted to make sure that, I think it is reflected correctly. It looks just fine to me. I don't see why we need to change it.
All right, your,
Because I don't know.
I'm gonna vote for it.
Can we wait with the, can we hear the motion? What was the
Oh,
motion?
the motion was to accept,
We're accepting this
To
to make
update.
the location change, it'll be flipped.
yes, so I'm voting for no flip.
Okay, so you're voting for leave as is?
Yes,
Okay.
okay, so Ashcraft,
I'm voting for keeping it as it is. So that would be a no, is that correct?
Yes.
Balaco Reader,
Yes.
Kaluka,
No.
Lomax,
Yes.
Murphy,
No.
Mayor Lozano. Okay, so motion does not pass.
Okay. So can I get a motion to adopt the meeting minutes as is?
Motion to keep the meeting, wait,
Keep
before
the
motion,
schedule.
To adopt the meetings, the ordinance as is, yes, the ordinance.
should we do that before actually discussing your October 21st date?
Right.
There's
I
something
mean,
else that you can keep in mind too, which is that at any given moment in time, if someone wants to have a date considered, that can be considered on a one-off basis.
Doesn't have to be in the.
Right.
We're here,
I mean, we
Jeannie's
can do-
already
we
discussed
can-
it,
we
she
can
knows
do
she's
it
gonna be
right
gone
now,
today.
so,
I
I
don't see
mean,
why.
Does anybody have a problem with changing it to October 21st?
I don't have a problem with that, but I have a question, how come May is the third? Or the third Tuesday?
I had requested that one also.
Oh, okay, alright, I just was
Okay.
making sure.
So, I mean, these were discussing meeting dates. I mean, if other people had changes, I would discuss them. You don't have to accept it.
I will motion to accept the ordinance as published, as this draft presented, as presented.
So can we get a second? I'll second.
Okay, hold on. Kathy, that was you. Alright. Ashcraft,
This is to accept it
as
as is, yes.
Balaga Reader,
Yes.
Kaluka,
Yes.
Lomax,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Romero Lozana,
Yes.
and me, yes.
Motion passes. Next up is discussion and possible action on the fiscal year 2026 budget. Alright, so this budget was reviewed by the finance committee. It is the draft that was originally shared with you all, there were no revisions to it. However, if there are any questions or anything that you'd like to bring forth, please feel free to do so.
You should have seen Kelly's when she came to the finance meeting, she had it on an 8x11. I sat next to her and I thought I could share, and she was not interested.
I can read it. I mean, it's not
It's fine.
Well, that's amazing. Wait till your eyes.
I'm getting too old for that.
I can read it. It's easier online. I did look it over. Thank you for all your work.
You must have a wider screen than I
And
do.
thank you to the finance committee. Happy to not be part of it.
Well, thank you to Kylo who got it all organized there. Everything has its own place. It was very easy to read, easy to interpret. Very thankful for that.
So there was one lingering question out of that meeting, which was the proposed amount for the legal services.
Correct.
I did reach out to the school district, and I reached out to, who was the other one?
6 Mile?
6 Mile Regional Library, and I asked, in a year that you're doing collective bargaining, how much do you normally expend in legal fees? I think we should, based on their answers, I think we should leave it at that.
Okay.
It seems a pretty reasonable amount to cover both those fees and our normal operating year fees as well.
Did they distinguish between the first bargain and versus subsequent ones? Okay.
Yes.
So it's basically triple.
It's more like 5 times the amount. It's quite a bit, it's quite a jump.
Both parties are amenable. That means that there are less costs incurred with it.
Less cost incurred with it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be paying negotiation fees if it goes through the first time.
We just don't know what we're gonna get into. This
Yeah.
seems like a reasonable amount, and then
You can always adjust as needed. It's a shame that we had to incur these kind of costs.
It is a shame that we had overreach from the board that staff did not feel safe. Felt the need to unionize, which I support.
Well, and you know, the board that you speak of has changed no policies, has banned no books that we've been blamed for.
I'm not sure we're talking about banning the books right now. We're talking about
we have,
the staff
we have done, we
unionized,
have done.
which was
We
due
haven't
to
changed
overreach
any
by the library
policies.
board president.
folks, can we stick to the budget conversation, please?
Absolutely.
I have a motion to accept the budget.
I second it.
These motions.
Yeah, I thought that she had to ask her who we should.
Oh, that's nice.
Would you make the motion?
So who
It
made
looks
the
like they already
motion?
made motions. And second. These two motion. It's
Okay. And Kathy says my fault's This is to accept the text, okay. Balaga Reader,
Yes.
Kaluka,
Yes.
Lomax, Murphy,
Yes.
Romero Lozana,
Yes.
York, yes, and Ashcraft.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next is reviewing, serving our public, chapter 8. This chapter is about our responsibility as members of a regional library system and the responsibilities of resource sharing that come with that. Like music streaming, that would be just for our library.
No, she's talking about how we're gonna get EBSCO for the entire state, and we're gonna be able to share that as well.
Nice.
It will be when we get it. I have no questions. I think that it is a wonderful system to be able to share resources like this. Especially for smaller libraries and rural libraries that exist within our state.
Yeah, so just if, just as a general sense as to the wealth of resources that we have available through our system membership and through our participation with the resource sharing SHARE consortium. SHARE alone is almost 500 libraries made up of primarily publics, but with some schools and academics and special libraries as well. That we can actively call upon to request items to borrow or to provide requested items to. IHLS, Illinois Heartland Library System, has more members than that, because not all members of IHLS are SHARE members, although the majority are. But that still allows for us to receive delivery from non-SHARE members in the state as well. So not only within IHLS, but system, or statewide as well.
It's a wonderful system.
Anybody have any discussion? No? Okay. So no closed session. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at
16 seconds.
8:04. Thank you.